You're at the Indie Lot, where it's film school for the rest of us. We're not going to go quite as in depth in this next topic, but I do want to make sure that we talk a little bit about editing audio. So let me bring up a file here, and I want to also bring up a piece of software called Audacity. Now remember when we talked about Blender being a open source product that programmers or developers from around the world contribute to, absolutely free. It's an amazing tool. Well, the same thing goes with Audacity. It is an open source audio editing program. For our purposes, what we want to consider using Audacity for is to do a little bit of audio post-production mastering. Okay? And so that's what I want to kind of demonstrate for you here today. I'm going to bring up a clip that I just took from this little movie clip here. Since I've been working on this course, I entered another contest to create a minute-long film, and again I used my niece as one of my main actors, and it was completely shot on green screen. It was the first project of its kind that I did, and it was very challenging, but we got it pulled off and entered into the contest. But I want to take a portion of the audio, and I'm going to bring it over here into, and this is the audio from this clip, and I'm going to bring it over here into Audacity. Let's just pretend for a moment that this is a full-on and completed audio track from our film. So we've done all our compositing, we perhaps have run a final render, and now we've got a video track and an audio track, and that audio track now contains all of our mixed down music and Foley and dialogue and all that stuff. Usually what you want to do is go through it in the end and do one last bit of post-processing on it. And that could be anything from adding equalization, reverb, whatever it might be. Sometimes you may want to use it just to do some audio cleanup. And so whether you do that audio cleanup in your post-production process or while you're actually working with the audio and your clips, Audacity is a great program that you can use for doing that. And so let me go ahead, I'm going to play you this piece of audio, but what we're going to do, I'm going to play this clip and we're going to pay attention to what's here in the empty space. Oftentimes, when you're recording audio, so for example, with my microphones, remember we talked about my Rode microphone, and we talked about that $22 microphone that I have. Since making this training, since doing that audio chapter or module, I've since then purchased a new digital recorder, and I run my Rode into that now, and I don't get anywhere near the noise, the white noise, the hissing sound that I got when I was running it into my camera's preamp. So when I run that Rode mic into my camera's preamp, I get quite a bit of hiss in the background. If I use that $22 mic, even with my new digital recorder, it tends to be a bit noisier, and so again, you can hear lots of hiss in the background. And so sometimes or oftentimes you'll want to go ahead and clean that up. So in Audacity, the way you can do that is you can go in, bring in your audio file that you want to clean up. You want to highlight the section of audio that's supposed to be quiet. You know what, and actually before I even do this, let me just play this for you.
What if we wrapped it in cheese?
You could hear that hiss, and actually it turns out as I bring the volume up, I realized my wife and my oldest son were in another room having a conversation, and the microphone was kind of picking them up. So what we're going to do is we're going to tell Audacity to analyze this part of the audio track. And so what it's going to be analyzing and listening to is the hiss as well as that conversation between my wife and my oldest son. I'm going to come up here to Effect. I am going to scroll down here to Noise Reduction and select it. I have the option now to get a noise profile. So I'm going to click on this button. Now it happened very, very quickly. Audacity captured a noise profile of that hiss and the conversation that's going on in the background, and it's analyzed and it's keyed in on those frequencies. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to double click on the entire track. I'm going to go back to Effect, and I'm going to say here, Repeat noise reduction.
What if we wrapped it in cheese? What if we wrapped it in cheese?
So you can, hopefully you're able to hear how much that audio got cleaned up. I mean, I cannot even hear it at all. There's no hiss, there's no conversation of my wife or my son in the background. And oftentimes you're going to want to either clean up individual tracks like this, or you're going to want to run your final audio track through a process that will then clean it up. And the next step perhaps from here would be then to go and add in EQ. So that's all I'm going to say. It's a lot of tweaking and a lot of work to get it right. You saw when I was going through the editing portion, and that's why I'm going to kind of not do so much here. You saw when I was working with the Foley and the phone noises and how I was adjusting volumes and creating envelopes of louder and softer volumes, to simulate the phone in the pocket, etc. That's the kind of stuff you're going to go through with your audio, where you're going to be fixing things that came out too loud or cleaning up noise. Keep in mind that regardless of what mics you use, you're going to want to bring it through some kind of post-processing in order to clean it up and especially to EQ it and make it sound even nicer. So hopefully that made sense. Again, this program is called Audacity. As we wrap up this quick module here, let's open up the browser and let's go to www.audacityteam.org/download. And here you can download Audacity. They have a version for Windows, a version for the Mac OS, and a version for Linux.